Thank you for joining me today. Please have a chair and a blanket and 2 blocks near your mat. We're going to start on our backs with our knees bent and our feet against the floor. Take a moment to rest your spine against the floor so your tailbone is against the floor and your lower back is against the floor and your rib cage is against the floor. Rest your shoulders against the floor. Relax your head against the floor. And then bring your feet off the mat and lift your legs overhead, pushing out through your heels, and then bend your knees and straighten, push through the heels and bend your knees and straighten, push through the heels. Pause and breathe. Take your right leg to the mat, bend your left knee, and interlace your fingers behind your left thigh. Inhale, then exhale. Bring your left knee a little closer to the chest, not too far, and then relax a bit. Inhale, then exhale. Bring your left knee a little closer to the chest. And inhale out. Exhale, bring your knee a little closer to the chest. And we're going to do that 7 more times, each time coming a little closer to the end of our range of motion or the end of our comfort level. Breathing in. And breathing out. And on the 10th time, flex your foot and pull your leg to the end of your range of motion or to the end of your comfort level. Then back off a bit and breathe. Now keep your knee bent, but relax a little. Keep your foot flexed, and then rotate your toes towards center, and then rotate your toes out. And rotate your toes towards center, and rotate your toes out. And do that one more time. Then take your left leg to the mat. Bend your right knee, interlace your hands behind your right thigh. We'll do the same thing on this side. So inhale, then exhale. Bring your knee a little closer to your chest, and then relax a bit. Inhale, then exhale. Bring your knee a little closer to the chest. 8 more times, each time deepening a bit, coming a little closer to your edge. On the 10th time, flex your foot. Bring your knee to the edge of your range of motion, or your leg to the edge of your range of motion. And then back off a bit and breathe. Now, bring your left foot to the mat and cross your right ankle over your left knee. Place your hands on your ribs so they don't flare up with this next movement. And bring your legs towards your chest, lifting your left foot off the mat. Only come to the point where you can keep your pelvis on the mat. If your pelvis starts to lift, then back out a bit until it's resting on the floor. Now, without using your hands, push your right knee away from you. or down. And breathe. And switch legs, so left ankle over the right knee. Bring your legs towards your chest. And then press your knee out or down. Breathe. And release. Bring both of your knees towards your chest. You can bring your pelvis off the mat now if that feels better to you. And roll from side to side. You can circle your knees and reverse the direction. You can roll to your side and push to a seated position, or you can roll to a seated position. Bring the soles of your feet together and allow your knees to open to the sides. Keep your spine long and your neck in line with the rest of the spine, and then press down through the edge of your feet into the ground or your mat. And notice what happens in your hips and in your legs. For me, my knees start to open wider. And breathe. And release. Now come to a tabletop position. Swing your legs to a tabletop position. Shoulders over your wrists and your hips are over your knees. Spine is long, neck's in line with the rest of the spine. Bring your knee up behind you so the sole of your foot is facing the ceiling. And then rotate your heel in towards center and rotate your heel out and in towards center and out. And one more time, in towards center and out. Right knee comes back to the mat. Lift your left knee behind you. Rotate your left heel towards center and out, and center and out, and center and out. Now bring your left foot forward to the outside of your left hand and allow your knee to fall to the side and your foot to rest on its side. You can stay here or you can tuck your back toes and lift your right knee off the mat. What I'd like you to do is press down through the outside of your left foot and breathe. And bring both knees back to the mat. Step your right foot to the outside of your right hand. Allow your right knee to fall to the side, coming to the right side of your right foot. You can stay here or tuck your back toes and lift your leg off the mat. Press down through the side of your right foot and breathe. And release. Stay in this lunge position because we are going to move into a lunge. We're going to use a chair to support this today. So even if you typically perform your lower lunge without a chair, I'd like you to use a chair today so the focus is not on balance but on relaxing the hip. Bring your left hand to the back of your left hip. Relax your left hip and then slowly lunge forward a bit and then come back. And then lunge forward a bit and come back. And we'll do that 7 more times, each time getting a little bit closer to the end of our range of motion. You can use a blanket under your knee if your knee is cranky. Make sure the left hip stays nice and soft. Make sure you're breathing. And on your 10th lunge, go to the edge of your comfort level, the edge of your range of motion, then back off that a bit and breathe. And let's switch legs. So right knee comes to the mat. Left foot comes forward. You'll need to move your chair to the other side. Right hand comes to the right hip. Soften your right hip. Soften the tissue there. And then bend your left knee forward and come back and forward and back. Deepening the lunge a little each time. And on the 10th lunge, go ahead and take it to the edge of your range of motion. Then back off a bit and breathe. And release. We are going to do a squat next, and it's a squat of your choice. So wherever you are today, we'll honor that. If you'd like to use a chair for your reference point, you can do so. The hips come down and back as if you are going to sit in a chair. If you are using a chair behind you, try not to actually come down and sit, but rather stand and then bend. Stand and then hips back and down. You can also use the chair for support in front of you, coming a little bit further down in your squat. Or you can come all the way down into your yogi squat, bringing your elbows to your inner thigh, your hands to the center of your chest. Spine is long, neck's in line with the rest of the spine, and breathe. And release. Heel toe your feet to about one leg's distance. Your torso can be parallel to the floor. You can use blocks if that's more comfortable, or you can use your chair for resting your hands. Inhale, then exhale, drop your right hip, feel your left hip rise. Then inhale through center, drop your left hip, feel your right hip rise. Inhale through center, right hip drops, left hip lifts. Inhale, exhale, left hip drops, right hip lifts. Good, now let's heel toe our feet to hip width distance. You can stay here whether your hands are on the floor or the blocks or the chair, or you can bring your hands to your shins or to your thighs, whatever works for you. Press down through your big toe and then create the sensation that you're externally rotating your knees. There won't be a lot of movement, but you should feel the tissue around your hips and in your entire leg activate. And breathe. So we're pressing down through the big toe, creating the sensation that our knees are turning out, they're externally rotating. And we're breathing. And we'll release. We're going to come down to our belly, so if your chair's in the way, move that out of the way. Hand over hand, and if you're not familiar with this movement, you may want to watch for just a moment, but then we'll move our forehead to our hands. So slide your right leg out to the side. If you feel any pinching, then come out a bit. So take your leg back and down a bit, if that's the case, until it feels more comfortable. It likely still will feel awkward. It does to me. But your legs should remain straight. Rest your forehead on your hands. And then rotate your toes up toward the ceiling. They likely won't point all the way up, but that's the direction. And then release. And rotate your toes toward the ceiling. And release. Rotate your toes toward the ceiling. And release. And then bring your leg back behind, your right leg back behind you, and take your left leg out to the side. Toes toward the ceiling, and release. Toes toward the ceiling, and release. And one more time, toes toward the ceiling, and release. Now roll to your back. Slide a block under your hips. I like to rest my hips on the lowest setting with this one, but you can play around with the different heights. Keep your right knee bent and your foot against the floor and extend your left leg out. Press out through your left heel. Rest your hands on your ribs, keeping them in a neutral position. Breathe and notice the length in the front of your left thigh. Now switch legs, so left foot to the mat. Extend your right leg out, press out through the right heel, and breathe. Then slide the block out of the way. Extend both of your legs out. Find a comfortable spot for your arms. If you'd like, you can bring your blanket and place it over your hips. Allow your feet to grow heavy against the mat. Allow your legs to grow heavy. And your hips. Ribs heavy. Shoulders are heavy. Arms heavy. Notice any sounds that you hear. Notice your visual field. If your eyes are closed, you may see color or shimmer or light. Notice your breath. It might feel cooler as it enters your body and warmer as it exits. Fill your belly, your ribs, your sides, and your back. Expand with your inhale and feel everything come back towards center with your exhale. Return to your normal breath. Please stay in your Shavasana, your resting pose, for as long as you'd like. Thank you for practicing with me today.